the permit. I don't care if you buy a permit. Do you know how little I actually care if you have a permit?
Complaining about the fact that he received no support from that. I think Bode has some.
Yes, I
some
do.
links for us.
Oh, I got some leaks for you.
It's like simple shit like that. No, simple shit like that. If he can't answer that,
I need to break in because I need more original every week. That's a goal.
Do you really actually get paid for that? Because you deserve money for that last one. That one was a amazing setup.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Push to Talk, and I can't believe everybody was quiet in the on-air channel just as we went live. You were silent. I expected like hard conversation and arguments like going through the roof here.
We finished 5 seconds ago.
5 seconds. I'm hot miking again? What do you mean I'm hot miking?
Well, of course he's hot miking because he's talking.
Yeah. Supposed to be. Anyway, so we have a great show today. We've got Horrendous here, the one, the only Horrendous. Soundhead material on our walls. I don't. Okay, we'll work on that. Seabass Unique. We also have Sother Sill and Caleb here with us today. Caleb, I like your new fuzzy background. We can't read what's on your whiteboard anymore. I think it's fantastic. That's great.
It's Skype doing that whole auto setting thing because I didn't set it to do that.
Oh, it is? It's Skype doing that. Yeah, you're coming
through
Skype.
What he's actually not telling you is that that's literally a background. That's not live.
Yes, probably is. So we got lots to talk about. CCP is...
Making gambling great again.
Woohoo! Everybody can be their own summer blink now. So I mean that's our big topic today, right? I mean that's the big thing.
Yep, it is.
And the mystical maths, as you say, Caleb, the mystical maths to explain the feature. And by the way, so in the pre-show, Arendis was giving us a rundown of exactly what was going on with the math, and I think I'm sitting there going, "That's awesome." I'm laughing.
I think it's great that CCP are hiring from the New Age segment and getting people with numerology experience in there. I think it's
new math. Are you talking about the new math?
No, New Age. This is numerology 101.
Oh, hold it. Who has kids who have gone to school and learned the new math? Anyone? Because seriously, when you get
New math in the 60s, dude.
It's
just math.
When you sit there and you get the homework thing, it's like, okay, it's 2 plus 12. Only 2 plus 12 takes you an 8 by 10.5 sheet of paper to solve.
I'm pretty sure
kidding.
we did the same thing in university.
Really? It took you a page to solve 12 plus 2?
Well, let's just say maths can get really complicated.
I mean, I understand like differential equations and bullshit like that and things that are hard, but 2 + 12 shouldn't take you a page of paper to figure out.
I just want, before we get started,
Yeah.
I just want to express how impressed and amazed I am that CCP has once again managed to do that which I didn't think was possible.
And that is?
They managed to get computers to be bad at math.
Hold it. The whole, hey, you can jump again when you're at 10 minutes left on your jump timer isn't already bad enough?
No.
Okay. Okay.
What's 1,000 divided by... If your answer is not 121.6, CCP disagrees.
You broke out there. So say that problem again.
What's 1,000 divided by 4? If your answer is not 121.6, CCP disagrees.
Wow.
And Reaper has the screenshots to prove it.
Is that going to be in an INN article soon?
No.
Okay.
CCP told if they fix it, there's no article. Well, let's face it. If it's on the test server, things being buggy on the test server is not new.
Yeah, but that's not how that works.
What's not how that works?
TCP telling us what we can and can't make an article about.
It's not what they're doing. They're not telling us it's not an article. I'm saying something buggy on the test server is not news. If this shit goes live with all of these problems, that's news.
It's terrible. I mean, do they have a QA department? I mean, is that like a dumb question that I'm like afraid to ask?
Me too.
No, they've used Goons for this for the last 10 years. Goons is the red team for CCP.
They definitely do have a QA department. Some of their QA guys are very good at what they do. Lebowski, for example, is a very competent quality assurance tech. I am also given to understand that this would not have gone in this condition on Sissy if it was part of a Team Talos build. So Talos probably has a good QA group. But
what is this, Team Hilmar?
As Berger said, all of the free market stuff is not Talos. And I'm sure Rise is really glad he said that.
Oh, it's killing me. You're killing me, Smalls.
It's killing your heart?
Smalls being CCP, right? You're killing me. Killing me, Smalls. You guys know that line? It's from a movie. I'm not going to rehash it. So we've got bad math. We've got bad things. So, I mean, let's think. This was my question when I first read this, right? So I read what people were saying in the chat about the dev blog, and some people were saying it was kind of snooty, the dev blog or whatever, and I'm sitting there going, why do we need this? Can anybody tell me? I mean, by the way, chat guys.
I can actually.
Okay, why do we need it, Seth?
Well, the thing is that this is another case of CCP actually not understanding what the community actually is asking for.
Okay.
When they got rid of all the casino stuff, they didn't just take away raffles, right?
Right.
Which is what most of the casinos were known for. They also took away betting system for doing bets on pretty much everything, most notably tournaments. And a lot of people enjoyed, especially the AT, when they could bet on their favorite team, right? So what the community was asking for wasn't necessarily a raffle system like we are getting now, but a framework to have all kinds of chance-based things, right? Being it just a raffle or betting on your team in the AT, or betting on a certain team in another tournament, which, of course, isn't really needed right now because tournaments aren't a thing.
Yeah, they aren't a thing. I mean, Caleb, Orennis, I mean, Dirk's here as well.
There's a certain percentage of the population that does want raffles. They've been very vocal about that whenever anybody in the feedback thread has pointed out, what the problems are with gambling, etc. If you point out the destructive nature of gambling, the immediate feedback is, but I want my raffles. Okay. They want raffles. That's fine. I don't have a problem with CCP doing gambling as long as CCP is doing gambling right. If they've got safeguards and controls in to keep an eye out for self-destructive behavior, to make sure that people aren't going overboard, if CCP wants to make money off this, which by tying the hypercores to Plex, they clearly do, if they want to make money off of this, then they can play bartender and say, sorry, buddy, you're cut off.
Yeah, but they're not going to do that.
But are they doing that?
No,
not yet.
And they're not.
They do. They do have one safety system in. If you know you have a problem, you can send in a ticket, and they will basically cut you off from this preemptively. They will block you from this feature permanently, as near as I can tell. But you have to know you have a problem, and you have to be able to say, please help me. Otherwise, they can't.
So they acknowledge they clearly acknowledge that this could be addictive. You could also go in and say, I'm too young to gamble, but if I'm 15 and I've got...
The game does have a PEGI rating of 12 plus. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's say I'm 15 and I work at McDonald's and I've got my own bank account and I'm saving for college. I could unload it into this gambling thing, right?
Or you're 12 and you just happen to actually know where your mom keeps her.
That too. I mean, so, but when we look at it, right? So, CCP over the years, we've seen them position themselves for this, right? Plex used to be $20 for a Plex. That clearly hit some threshold that some lawyer said, hey, that's a threshold, right? That's actually something of significant value. You saw them break that down into a lot of 500, right, to lessen the value. And a lot of the lawsuits that you see for gambling in online gaming, particularly MMO type things, hinge on, hey, the in-game money that we convert it to really doesn't cost a lot and it doesn't mean anything. And the thing that we're buying doesn't have any actual value. Therefore, we don't satisfy that you're actually gambling.
I just don't get the whole thing of them having talked about wealth distribution and equality and all that stuff, bordering on suggesting an introduction of UBI, right? They've been banging on this topic for at least 3 months, right? Since after Blackout, right? And when they announced this, they were talking about some redistribution system, right? So what part do they not understand about gambling? This is going to be a massive creator of trillionaires, right? That's exactly what this can do.
But Caleb, let's keep something in mind here, okay? Economic systems where you have robber barons, where you have organized crime, where you have any of these freaking structures that take a whole lot of money from a whole lot of people, like a little bit of money from each person, and give it all to one guy. That's also redistributing wealth. Redistribution of wealth does not always mean equalizing wealth.
No, apparently not, because this is going to make some people filthy rich. As I've said before, the people that are going to come back are the Somas, are the Iron Banks, the people that actually likes to figure out how to math this to a point where they're making profit hand over fist, right? And we're going to see this becoming potentially really popular in the streaming circles, right? Because this is flipping the table. Now, the viewers are not just looking at you opening loot boxes for yourself. They are actually the clients. They are actually the people gambling. And the fact that that CCP has turned this whole RMT thing on its head, so they're making the croupier and the actual host the person that pays for the RMT, and the gambling is the customers, doesn't change anything. This is still gambling by any other name. I don't want to discuss the whole armchair lawyering, because I think we have 2 professional lawyers on INN that's coming on later. So this is irrelevant. It's an ethical question. Is this good for the players, and is this good for the game? And I would say I have really wanted a loss condition in EVE, but I thought that was going to come in with destruction numbers and actual things in space, and not this.
But I mean, first of all, in Vegas, they showed us all the things that currently need working on in EVE. Right?
No, they didn't. They showed us what their emailed out poll said to them that they needed to focus on.
And frankly, Rise's presentation was a whole lot of, here's what we don't have time for.
Yeah, but
here's what we are thinking about.
They are spending time on this bullshit instead of those issues.
I'm still waiting for my roadmap. How many weeks has it been? We have a line on the roadmap to create a quarterly roadmap, right? And I'm like,
you're not going to get a roadmap until January. That's when it's going to happen.
No, you're not.
Like,
okay. I'll bet, Dirk, we're not going to see one in January.
But what function do we have to ensure that this bet happens, Eric?
I don't know. You know, if we only had something in the game that we could use.
If only there
you
were
guys
a
should
mechanism.
sell raffle tickets to this bet.
That's right. Raffle tickets to the best garden. Hey, I'm going to stop here at 118 and remind folks that if you have Amazon Prime and your subscription is up, or you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Take a moment. It's pretty easy. It's free if you have Amazon Prime. It costs you nothing. We just charge Mr. Bezos, a couple bucks and lessen his value. So please subscribe to the channel if you have not. Also, if you haven't followed us and you think you might enjoy the shows here on INN, please take a moment and do a follow. We'd appreciate it. And you can always tip us. You can always tip us.
I figured out what CCP seems to hate more than goons. It's market people, because we keep getting nerfed left, right, and center, and they're pretty much.
They just assume that goons are the market people.
Well, they kind of are.
Well,
that's where you go if you actually can do math.
There is no way that this system isn't wide open to be gamed by nullsec and take all that high-sec puppy money and fund wars.
I hope Cabal actually does this. I hope that they put some.
How does it not?
Well, it's an obvious way to abuse, because you can even do this when you use an ult. There's no requirements of skill or anything. There's not even a hard limit on how many of these you can have running, as far as I can tell. So that means that you can also have more of these raffles running than you can have market orders on the market. I have never scammed, and I don't want to do anything in EVE that is ethically questionable, right? I prefer to keep my nose clean, but this kind of makes me want to do it, right? Because I could make a fuck ton of money on this. I just need to sit down, do the spreadsheeting, and figure out what the numbers. I'm not sure
a spreadsheet helps you based on Arendis's earlier definition. Wow. I mean, would you like to rehash that for us, Arendis? Because that was a fabulous definition of how.
Yeah, it's not going to help me with the interface, because as Arendis can explain, the interface is completely broken.
The interface is completely broken. Right now, if anyone who's familiar with.
Did we lose Arendis?
He said anybody familiar with, and I was ready to say anybody who plays EVE Online is.
Yeah, Arendis, are you having issues with your voice activation again?
I'm having a deja vu moment here, because I swear to God this has happened before. Arendis goes into full explainer mode and then just drops.
I think someone's got an ion cannon on him. Does CCP have an ion cannon specifically?
I really don't want to repeat what he said, because it's just so good when Arendis says it. It's like Arendis' voice, his inflection, and how he describes it. I'm like, nah, I won't do it any justice. We'll wait for him.
I'll just pick up on what I was trying to say with spreadsheeting, right? Because what you need to do is to figure out the value points, right? So what is the cost of tokens? What is the cost of Plex? How do you map this out to anything that you buy from the market? And how many of these nodes and slots do you have to put up to actually maximize your profit, right? So it's really just a return of investment mechanism. You buy something at 100 million, you math it out to be 120 million worth of nodes, and you're going to be making 10% every single time, just if you are selling out, right? So this is very easy, and the gamblers are going to benefit because this price is going to give them the feeling of the whole gambler's fallacy, right? The fact that they feel like they're always winning, even if their rake is minimal compared to my take, right? So I will be making a lot more profit from using this system as opposed to using the real in-game market, right? So why would I do market trade and try to do a service when I can just do this and just steal money directly from people?
Yep, and just to let everybody know, McLeod has joined us as well. Welcome, McLeod. And you know what I need? I need a beer. So keep talking. I gotta go get a beer. I'll be right back.
I mean, just to talk a little bit about like the whole CCP promising the market shift thing. One of the conversations that I've had with a few people now is that actually this interface looks pretty cool.
Yeah,
it looks pretty great. And so they've done a ton of great UI work on this that has unfortunately
except for the functionality.
Well, that's UX, not UI. Like the UI is fine. The back end issues are what's really crippling it in terms of the lottery stuff. But like,
I was gonna say, like, you know, UI and everything is great and all, but like, if the back end's pretty shoddy,
if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But like, one of the things that they were talking about this whole shift in the way we do things on the markets and stuff, and I was expecting that actually CCP were going to come out with like a proper auction house. Because they know that there are huge issues with trying to sell Abyssal modules, for example. They know that people use the EVE Online official forums to auction off things like AT ships and officer mods. They know that people are doing this outside of the game.
It's something we've been needing for like 12 plus years, right? We haven't had an update to the whole contract system since then. People that say we need an auction house. Well, there is an auction feature in the contract system. It's just horribly antiquated and terrible when it comes to UI. Exactly. This is why I am actually predicting, and this thing will never actually stay live as a gambling feature. I think it's going to be removed end of January at the latest, because this just got so many things that people will read about, and the fact that it actually hit the gaming media 3 hours after introduction just shows that this is too controversial. But making this UI should be reused to make a proper contract upgrade system, right? Where you have proper auctions.
Like not even necessarily just contracts where you're selling a thing for a specific price. Like that's fine. The contracting system for that is perfectly functional and adequate. But an actual auction house where people can bid on things and see other people's bids and kind of fight each other down to the wire. And I think that could be a really fun little thing that they could have brought in with this UI. Well, and I think they missed an opportunity to actually improve the way people feel about what they do in the game.
It's just the only way to make the invested developer hours worth something, right? Because if they just end up slating this and shelving it because it's too controversial, that's a lot of wasted time, right? But it does have a nice interface. It has some of the filtering functionalities that would be exactly what you need for a new, nice, upgraded contract system. And I know that, of course, the obvious one is the auction, but it actually lends itself to all of them. You can even see courier contracts being implemented in this, and then figuring out to do a proper sorting tool and filtering tool.
So, Arendis, are you back? And does your voice work?
Arendis has just pinged me about where Discord dropped him out. Arendis, nobody's sure where it dropped you out, only that you didn't get into the explanation.
I see. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So you've got two text fields, basically, two enterable fields. Each of those enterable fields is trying to resolve its own value.
Oh, you forgot that this is in a spreadsheet, right? In order to calculate this.
It's a computer system. It's all a spreadsheet.
Gotcha.
Like everything you do in Eve is a spreadsheet. Just deal with it. That's all database table. So each of these two fields is trying to calculate its own value from the other one, which is calculating its value from the first. It's doing this while you're typing it. And it's trying to round these numbers off as you're doing it. It gets really weird. Also, apparently, I'm hearing EU localization is still screwed.
What a shock. I mean, this is that was such a weird bug as well. Like the fact that we were sat there on Thursday night going, "What the hell is going on with this? Why can we not make decimals work?" And
right
I think anybody, it was you that had the OS idea.
For anybody who doesn't understand what we're saying, EU formatting and imperial formatting, let's put it that way, are two different things with numbers. So in imperial formatting, which is what the UK and the US use, you write 1000 as 1,000.00 with a period for the decimal. In EU formatting, you do 1.000, comma 00 with a comma for the decimal place. Now, what it was doing, and apparently may still be doing, I'm hearing from Reaper, is it wasn't displaying anything after the decimal comma in EU formatting. It just wasn't doing it. And the rest of Eve has no problem doing this. The market does this just fine. So it's not that they can't do it. It's not that the software doesn't understand how. It's that this particular coded system wasn't set up to accept EU formatting by a company in the EU.
The irony is very thick.
So here's the
rounding. Yeah, because it's rounding. Say the number per ticket is 100.5. Okay? The value it will display will be 101. If you go to edit that 1, you can't see the 0.5. The 0.5 cannot be accessed by your cursor. You can't delete the 0.5. So whatever you put that last digit in, it's going to show you 1 high. Always. And it won't tell you why. At no point will it even let you know there is a hidden decimal. That's what's going on.
Did you know, Arendis, that your jump timer, when it hits 10, it lets you jump like you have no time left?
Why are we doing... Just stop, Eric. That's a mechanism. That was designed. This
designed at 10. Designed at 10. Why can't I...
Yes. It was poorly designed, but it was designed.
Why don't I wait till 0?
To leave the 10-minute buffer visible. No freaking clue why. But that's not this. This is literally something that works perfectly in the rest of Eve. That just doesn't. You have to, and there's no setting in Eve to fix this. You have to go and change the formatting option you're using in your OS. If you want to see decimals.
Yeah, all the way down at the OS level is where this problem is fixed. And it's not. You're just switching it to a different area of the world.
So what you're saying is they're not using a reusable coding widget to display this.
I don't know what they're using, but again, as Arendis said already today,
I think their QA is ridiculously bad.
Like, you know, Rise absolutely must be so happy that he has nothing to do with this, because this has been like...
I don't understand how the world has functioning, you know, sort of international financial systems, yet this is an issue. fucking ridiculous.
Well, it's because CCP don't actually understand what a paradigm shift in an economic model looks like. And yes, that is a direct quote from Hilmar, by the way. A paradigm shift in the economic system.
You forgot future forward.
That one's just buzzwordy.
You forgot the fact that he claimed they were inventing all of this. Yes, at London, in front of everybody, on the stream, Hilmar claimed to have invented the rap.
Did he? Hey!
He did say
Arendis, did he work with Al Gore to invent the internet too? I mean, was that something he did?
You know, Gore gets a bad rap for that, but he didn't actually say invent.
I know.
Hilmar did!
I am actually going to have to look back at that because that's going to be fucking hilarious.
We need that.
I may have been distracted in some way, shape, or form at that.
No, this is the one that you probably napped through like 90%.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. I mean,
Napping?
I did notice that like Mist was like basically like dropping off at several points of the whole.
Was this like Mist was nodding off, huh?
Seriously, I want to see Hilmar actually try to sell this as a feature on the Nasdaq, because if that is what he calls future forward, I really want to see raffles on the Nasdaq. I
just want to know.
This is the exact quote. Okay, we are doing something future forward. We are inventing a trading paradigm that can be used for wealth redistribution, that can be used in New Eden, but also in real.
Oh my god!
And apparently. And he was talking about the HyperNet relay at the time. So apparently that is a description of raffle.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Why can't we just sell like those little tickets that you pay, I don't know, 100,000 ISK for, and you get 10 little numbers, and whatever they pull the daily number for in your locality, if you match it, you win 10 times?
I'd just like to know, why don't they just make
invent
this
something, Eric?
You know what? No.
Why don't they?
You know what I want? I want this in Eve. And Hilmar, you better listen to me. I want to be able to have a bake sale.
You want a?
I want a bake
sale?
Yeah, that means we need to create recipes, and we need to, have ingredients that are grown on the planets, and we need to be able to harvest those ingredients, and then we need to bake things. And they should give us super skills if we bake complicated things.
Eric, I'm sorry.
Cookies.
What you're describing is PI, and it is the death of many people's risks.
No, guys.
This is not PI. This is something new.
All he's asking for is a bit of pie. Okay.
I'm asking for the pensioners of Eve, right, and all the bit-of-vets, right. What we want is the next iteration of this to be actual bingo. Please, we need that.
Actual bingo.
Bingo.
We need. You know what? We need to be code. We need to code Fireside Bingo. We need to code Fireside Bingo into this game.
Well, because at least bingo is entertaining. This is not. This is just RNGs at work.
Caleb. I mean, you guys.
Further, there is something important that I have to say. Okay.
Floor's yours, dude.
Okay. So, Viklook, you got me. I have to quote Futurama. You are technically correct, which is the best kind of being correct. Iceland is not actually EU, it's European Economic Area and the Schengen. But there you go.
I mean, realistically, unless
good job being pedantic, Viklook. I approve.
Among other
I'll drink to that.
You get +1 internet points.
If we list all the things that they are part of, we're not going to be done until the end of the show, so that's not.
Iceland is like part of like a number of economic groups.
Iceland is like in a weird place where they are basically in the EU without being in the EU.
You know, I saw a really cool YouTube video about Iceland the other day, where they have one of the most high-tech fish cutting systems out there, where they cut with streams with water.
Yeah,
there's a lot of interesting adverts for Iceland in the UK, by the way, Eric. Just so you know.
I'm just saying. I mean, hey, my city has direct flights to Reykjavik. I mean, I don't know why, but we do.
Evidently, people want to go to the land of frozen rock and fermented shark.
Fermented shark. Now that is something like the turducken that should be on every Thanksgiving menu here in the United States. I think so.
Can I just point out that I figured out something very important about Iceland, right? They actually serve rockrol. Just saying, you can go to Iceland and you can actually eat rockrol.
Hey, Caleb, if it's a rorqual, it's not a whale, all right?
Yeah. Hey,
the actual whale, its name is derived from the actual minke whale that you can actually eat in Iceland.
Hey.
But yeah, what the hell is a turducken?
Turducken. Okay, so some people can't cook. Some people can't cook a turkey, and their turkey's dry. So in an effort to make turkeys not dry, what they did was, and they bone all three, right? They bone the turkey, they bone the duck, and they bone a chicken, and then
it's chicken stuffed in a duck
stuffed in a turkey.
That's the 3-bird roast.
Yes.
Well, that was anticlimactic.
We call it a turducken.
We call it a turducken.
Do you have to assemble it
because of John Madden? And if you've never heard John Madden talk about turducken, you are missing out.
Horrendous.
I was just wondering
how many?
I was wondering if like assembling it, you have to assemble it in a Mortal Kombat way for it to truly be called a turducken.
No, you have to roll them up and actually shove them up one another's bunk.
Is it spelled like that with an H?
So, don't you talk about the Dutch like that?
Turducken. But Horrendous. I have a very important question for Horrendous. Very important question. But in John Madden's turkey, how many turkey legs are there?
What's Caleb's stuck on?
I'm stuck on Eric boning birds. It's like, sorry.
I don't bone birds.
I know
they come pre-boned.
There's I think there's 12 Horrendous because he does the All-American Thanksgiving team.
Right, one for each guy on the team.
Yeah. Maybe there's 13. I don't know. But yes. By the way, here at Casa de Asmok, we do not decorate for Thanksgiving. We go straight to Christmas. God damn it!
Oh God, you're
and he does it in March.
No, we started a couple weeks ago.
Let's get prepared for Christmas.
By the way, we were running the train. We have one of those Lionel. We have one of those Lionel trains that actually, it smokes, does little smoke rings as it chugs around the track. We were doing that today.
Oh,
it's fun.
I'm still got my HO scale and the stuff in the base.
Yeah, I wanted to do an HO scale, but I have an O scale, right? But I don't know. It doesn't go with our little, village people. O scale is more the right size.
Wait, you're roasting the village people?
I mean, never not roast the village.
Well, Comedy Central will get around to them eventually.
Hold on.
I imagine the village people like a roasting.
If anybody hasn't watched The Mandalorian, I am not going to spoiler it in any meaningful way. However,
wait, Eric. How are we supposed to watch it? It's not available in our fucking country.
There are solutions for this.
Yeah, there is. I can just stream it and you can watch it.
I'm not going to tell you on a stream because he's not.
Yeah. So, you all remember like that little squeaky little fucked up pet that pulls C-3PO's eye out of Boba Fett's, right? Everybody know what I'm talking about? I don't know what they're called. You know, like, Is it? It's not a Mylar. I don't think so. But anyway, the best part of The Mandalorian, and by the way, they repeatedly past like the market area on the planet that the Mandalorian's on, right? The greatest thing is there's one of those in a cage, right? It's just sitting there in a cage, and then then right in front of him that he's staring at is another one of his species being like roasted rotisserie style over a fire. It's just I just find that hilarious.
It's fucking dark for Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian is fucking dark. Like, no lie.
Yeah.
It is all of the seedy underbelly of the shit you didn't get to see when Ben said you will never find a more wretched hive of scum and
Can we just quickly point out the fact that they have completely broken the way that you do actual narratives when you're writing for the screen or for actual novels. They've just gone straight to gaming, and everything in that series is pretty much just like cutscenes in a game. You have the level ups and everything. You need to craft new armor and stuff like that. It's not a story, it's a game. You're just not allowed to actually have any control of the keys. It's almost like
Isn't that life?
So you're saying stream?
It's pretty much like Eve Echoes, where you just get pulled on a rail and you're not really interacting with anything.
It's like watching any game stream.
Yeah, it's like watching a game stream.
Exactly.
That said,
telling
the
me
story they're
that,
telling you.
The Mandalorian is the Dark Souls of Star Wars.
Seriously, you guys can't get Disney Plus and stream this shit?
No, it's only
you have to jump through a bunch of hoops and shit like that to get it, and even then it's like a little bit.
I got my subscription. Like this is great Thanksgiving conversation at the table. Can I say this, McLeod, or do you want to go first?
I mean, I was just gonna say, like, you know, I tried to sort of watch, you know, not the latest series of The Expanse, but the previous series before that, when they you know pushed it onto Amazon, and like I jumped through as many hoops as I felt like I, you know, could legally go through in order to actually watch it, including like basically trying to throw Amazon money in order to watch it, and they still denied me because like my card was not acceptable as a card from, you know, in you know the American version of Amazon in order to actually watch it. It was just
exactly like getting access to the iPlayer in the UK.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, you can use VPNs for that kind of stuff. But like when it gets to the point where like they're denying your card because your card isn't registered in the UK, like there's no fucking VPN in the entire world will fucking change that.
That's the same with the iPlayer. You have to pay for it with a card that is addressed in the UK. Otherwise, you can't do it. So it's exactly the same.
So Disney Plus is currently available in Canada, Netherlands, Australia, New Zealand, and Puerto Rico.
Yeah, it's not coming to the UK until March, the end of March, by the way.
March 31st. Yeah.
Isn't it kind of redundant to say that it's available in the United States and Puerto Rico?
Yeah, a little bit.
I guess you could use one of those like virtual cards, like, you know, the virtual card kind of like services that you can get these days.
I mean, you say that, but
it actually launched a week later in Puerto Rico.
I mean, it's still not available in Guam, is it?
Yeah, Puerto Rico still has they still have customs in Puerto Rico around us, as I recall. Really big pain in the ass. So, yeah, coming from the States, because I had to spend a week in Puerto Rico because back when HP Unix servers were a thing, you know, it hit customs and had to sit there for a week. So HP had to pay our room and board and my fee hourly for a week. It was great. I enjoyed that.
Staying in this in this hotel room with us, just like
we were in a nice hotel room too. Nice hotel, you know, had like whole water slide, you know, the whole river to the bar. It was great.
At this question, how much of your hourly fee did you actually come back from Puerto Rico with, and was it negative?
All of it, because they had to pay all the expenses.
Come on.
By the way, the guy from HP was going down the lazy river with beer and whatever else we were drinking too. So he was buying it all. So that was like oh holy shit, that was like 23 years ago. Anyway, so the best Thanksgiving dinner table conversation that I had, it was great. It had to do with Disney Plus. I'm sitting there. And my sister's, I'm like, you know, did you guys see The Mandalorian? No, we can't figure out how to hook our stuff up to our TV. And I'm like, okay, we'll do that later, because it's not that hard. But yeah, we bought Disney Plus. We just paid for the whole year. And I look at her, and I said, but don't you have this kind of cell phone account? And she goes, well, yeah, we do. And I'm like, you realize you get it for a year free? And she's like, no, I didn't realize that. I'm like, you need to make some phone calls on Monday.
But they have a lot of those things. If you have a subscription for Hulu, and you get the subscription for Disney Plus, you can get your money back that you spent on Hulu because it's.
I'm sure they'll do it. You just got to make the phone call.
Yes, you just got to ask for it, and they are banking on people not knowing that.
Well, the funny thing is when I signed up for it, right? Because I have that thing to get it free for a year. They said, "Oh, by the way, would you like ESPN Plus and Hulu for $12.99 a month, which covers all three?" All right. So why am I going to pay for it when I'm getting Disney Plus free? I don't want ESPN and Hulu anyway. So.
Well, Hulu has what's the show called again?
South Park?
No, the Star Trek ripoff. That's actually better than Star Trek.
Orville.
Orville, yeah.
But I get that free on TV. It's on my regular TV.
Well, it's not running in Germany, so.
I watched the first 3 episodes and got bored with it, to be honest with you. Sorry.
It gets better.
I wanted it to get better.
It starts weak.
It's really good.
I will revisit then. Got that audience? Revisit if you stopped watching the Orville.
So, coming back to Eve.
Oh, does somebody play Eve?
For fuck's
Before we
sake.
do that,
Before you do that, go ahead.
Eric,
Yeah.
just real quickly.
Yes.
Like, I can't stand 99% of what Seth MacFarlane does. And the Orville is good shit.
Okay. I will go back and watch it if you guys say it got better. So that happens with shows.
Yeah, it started out more like a true like they had more comedy elements in the first few episodes, but then they kind of figured out that it does actually work as an actual science fiction show.
Cool.
Better than a comedy.
I'm just enjoying the fact that I cock-blocked Dirk from talking about
Wham!
I mean, that's fair.
What did you want to say, Dirk?
Yeah, Dirk. Are we talking about Eve? Is this a show about Eve? I'm sorry.
And does it contain?
I
whiskey?
would like to see the Orville ship model in Eve. That is a good idea, Dirk. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a great plan.
Push to talk now with
Let's
50%
do
less
that.
Eve.
Can I have a Klingon warbird while we're at it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but CBS will sue the fuck out of them.
Well, you've just got to rename it, and they can't do anything. You've got to make it similar enough that it's recognizable while being different enough.
Yeah,
As we recognized in
Actually, you just made me think of something.
It looks a bit like a battle.
Has anybody here and any audience or here ever played Net Trek? Seriously? I'm the only one?
Haven't even heard of it.
Okay, so way back, before we had good graphics cards.
Like the old ass fucking
Net Trek.
Really?
Yeah, remember Net Trek?
Talking about here?
Yeah. Like you had 4 teams or you had 2 teams and you would pick, whether you were Romulan or Federation or what was it? Was it Gorn? No, it was whatever it was.
Orion, I think.
Orion. Anyway, you would then fight over the planets, and whoever took over all the planets, and you orbit them, bombed their population down, then took them over, and somebody had to ferry over your people and take over the planet and all that bullshit. And it was all flat, right? It was just flying in a square grid, right? Can you imagine maybe doing that as a tournament using Eve ships? And would that be cool?
You are doing stuff that's nostalgia based, and you've lost horrendous. You are completely out of left field now.
He knew what I was talking about, but can
I knew what he was talking
fell
about.
over the
I
fucking
knew what he was talking about. I just have a hard time. I just have a hard time squaring the idea of imagine if you could do that in Eve, and wouldn't it be cool? Eve,
well,
cool.
Hold it. Take away the standard game. You got to make a standoff. Just Eve assets, the ships, some of the PvP mechanics, and add in there the ability to bomb populations on planets by orbiting them, and then
you
be
mean
able
what
to.
we had with Duck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had that already. Hey, check it out.
But no ground troops.
It wasn't
no
exactly
ground troops.
as
A little different.
advertised, was it?
Well, nothing in Eve is ever as advertised, and that is a fantastic segue into the other thing that happened this week.
What happened this week, Dirk?
Wonderful rapid fire release.
Hold it. Wait.
Oh yeah, the nerf non-nerf.
Let's change the Rifter for some random reason.
I still don't understand that.
Nerf the Munin.
They nerfed the Munin?
Or sort of not nerf, but like...
Exactly, horrendous. They nerfed the Munin?
Let's release the trick dread that Hilma doesn't know about.
Honestly, the Munin... I will tell you straight up, Dirk, alright? And I'm telling you this because I know that, like, you're minorly aware, like, at least tangentially aware of this, and Soth is very aware of this, alright? Here's the changes we made for the Munin nerf.
I'm very aware of this.
Claymores no longer need Quafe Zero to keep up. That's it.
Yay!
Well, I think this is
and we're done.
Hold it. Wait. We use Quafe Zero for like in-game boosts. Is that really true?
To be fair, the Claymore now comes a lot closer to the speed of the Munin than before.
And it ain't because the Claymore got better.
I just find it funny, right? The entire year, every time there's been any changes done to things that would shift meta and change fits and stuff like that, my first thing was always to go to Arendis to ask, so how did this change anything? And pretty much every single time, the entire year, his answer has been, nothing. It's a non-issue.
Not as
like, how can you have that many changes over the last year and none of it actually...
The biggest change to the meta over the last year was probably the bushing change, and that affected a real niche part of the meta.
And that's your reply every single time I've asked you. So is this an interesting change? Does this actually do anything? And you keep replying, no, this is a non-issue. Only like 2 guys are going to be touched by it.
These are
it's like changing the sort of the thickness of the paper on rock paper scissors and going, has this changed the meta? No, it has not.
That's brilliant.
That is awesome.
Wait, we're using left-handed scissors now.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's actual change.
The rock is now a piece of flint.
Oh, I need to get this out before we actually finish the show, right? You know how everyone was kind of hyped about this whole thing that Hilma talked about, that was going to be market and economics related, right? And it's going to change the whole thing, right? And all of the market guys were sitting there going, oh my God, this must be something exciting. And we got this shit. But what haven't actually been mentioned is that when they made this new shiny wallet, they completely destroyed the UI for anyone seriously doing market trade, because they took out the market orders, and now it is required to have another extra window open to actually do market stuff. So not only did they not give us anything new, they completely fucking shot us in the face and nerfed us.
Welcome to Eve.
Not as advertised.
The opposite of advertised.
Hey, enjoy the changes, okay?
Yeah, harden the fuck up.
Enjoy the changes, motherfuckers.
It's not even that we don't necessarily like the changes, we're just wondering what the purpose was. Like, we can't like them or dislike them until we know what you were trying to achieve and whether or not you did achieve them. And in the case of
does there need to be a purpose or an achievement? Or just...
I
purpose
think
is the change.
No, I think Dirk's got a good point. I mean,
I get it's a good point. Yeah.
You have to understand the context that something's happening in and what the intent behind it is before you can really judge it. Like, the classic example of this, and I say classic and it's really not, but fuck you, is shit like The Last Action Hero, the Schwarzenegger movie. It comes out, it's marketed as this big action movie, like this straight up fucking action movie, and it bombs. Why? Because it wasn't a straight up action movie. It's a and marketed as a comedy, it's a brilliant fucking film. Marketed as a straight action movie, it's confused. And what the hell are you talking about here?
But didn't he dive through a wall of presents at one point, or action figures or something?
Have you seen...
I mean, so did what's his name?
I don't know. Who are you talking about?
You're not...
Bruce Willis?
Bruce Willis, exactly. I'm pretty sure he dived through a box of presents at least a couple of times over the Die Hard films.
I think
and we still knew that they were,
But those were much more those were.
You can have action films with comedic moments. That's fine.
Right.
But like.
But Last Action Hero is a comedy. It's basically a complete deconstruction of the action genre and going, oh my god, this stuff is all stupid. Don't worry, we know.
It's the movie industry's version of Ready Player One, right?
The same
Yeah,
thing exists for comic book movies.
Oh sure, but the point is that if you're looking at something as, oh well, this is what you're trying to do here, then if that's not what they're trying to do, you're going to completely misjudge it. So without knowing what the actual intent is, it's hard to say whether or not these are good changes or bad changes. Like for example, the Munin change. If the intent here is to make Minmatar ships more viable in general, more balanced, I think overall the rapid fire changes are good. If your intent is we're going to do this whole thing and it's a lot of ancillary stuff while we fix the Munin, they didn't fix the Munin.
And then there's some other things in here like ADC cycle times and stuff. Like
right. I mean, like for example, the autocannon. I think the autocannon
changes about that. Like autocannon changes were absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I was only angry about one thing in the entire list of patch notes, and that was the Angel Cartel ship roll bonus that was nerfed.
That hurt the Dramiel, yeah.
That really hurt the Dramiel because
get the bonuses from the earlier buff that the Mackin.
But I was really looking forward to my Cinnaball and it having like better autocannons and a 6 AU warp speed. That was going to be a lot of fun, and I can no longer move faster than an assault frigate, and that is just sad.
I want to bring back the Dominics.
They touched my Macarial.
Where?
Yeah.
They did a lot worse than that to your Jaguar.
Yeah, they did, fuckers.
You were really angry about that change for a while there.
Remember,
your Ram Jag is no more.
I fly my Jaguar without launch, so I actually still have no fitting issues. But the fleet fitting gets hurt a lot by it.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we only have to upgrade the shield extender, and it's mostly fine again.
No, we have to switch to meta launchers, and we are fine again. But get that by Atron.
I should probably do.
I mean, it's meta launchers.
No, Dirk, it's a Tech 2 ship. It requires Tech 2 weapons.
I mean, I had this conversation with Atrum earlier about drone ships and stupid from both sides. Meta launchers are just one of those things of, well, no, now we really do need them, so get over it.
That was a lot of market signals right there.
I mean, depends on whether or not people are going to continue flying Jaguars, I guess.
I mean, it's still the best tackle ship.
Also, did anybody else laugh at them, fucking up the cycle time thing on autocannons for a minute there?
I think we were more confused by it than
that was so bad.
That was hilarious. So basically what happened was as part of the rapid fire release...
It's just a typo in the patch notes, but oh my god.
As part of the rapid fire release, or at least as part of the patch notes for it, they said that they were going to increase the rate of fire.
Attribute.
Attribute, yes. It specifically stated rate of fire attribute.
And
by
that's the
3%.
problem. Increasing the rate of fire, great. Increase rate of fire 3%, that's wonderful. Unfortunately, the rate of fire attribute is actually the cycle time attribute, which means the higher it goes, the slower the weapon fires. So,
I see.
Yeah, they express rate of fire in seconds, not rounds per minute. Which, as any good American can tell you, no, that's not how you do that.
Well, it depends if you're talking about rate of fire or cycle time.
Right, but the attribute is in fact the rate of fire.
Yeah. Well, it's described. So it's described as rate of fire, but it's
No,
actually...
Rose, that's not an American flex. It's actually just mocking us for our ridiculous gun culture.
Eh.
I mean,
Aaron just never makes American flexes. Like, he likes to flex on his nerdness rather than his.
I was born in Italy. I like to speak civilized languages. Unfortunately, I'm stuck with it.
Ooh, him's fighting Orange.
And when he does actually on his nerdness, he looks like a roid puppy.
I'll let you off on this one, just this one, Surrenders.
So, when are we gonna have like K-pop based CCP skins for ships?
The moment Jintan gets his cat ears, I think is the answer to that.
Anyway, I gotta bounce. So
later, Rennis. Thanks for the math lesson. We appreciate it.
Take care, dude.
Alrighty, so it's actually 2:01. Can you believe this? And I got to get out of here because number one is back from college, and we have to take him back to school tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. It's crazy. So I want to go spend some time with him. So let's run around the table and do one last thing, if that's okay. And let's start with Caleb.
Well, I just find it impressive that all the positive things that I've been building over the last 3-4 weeks is now completely dead with one little change. So thank you, CCB.
So how long have you played? Caleb, I have a question for you. How long have you played EVE Online?
Since beta phase 4. So that would
give
be
me
something
a year.
like 16. Well, that's 2003.
So 2003. And you're just figuring that out right now.
Oh, I've had ups and downs. It's just I was kind of defending CCP post Vegas and with London and all the things that were coming out, and I thought that things sounded very, very inspiring. But then I saw this gambling thing, and then they destroyed my market features, and now I'm kind of sourpuss again. So at least let's give it to them for managing to get me back in the right corner.
So par for the course is what you're saying.
Pretty much.
There you go. Dirk, my man, you are on. You're up. McLeod, you're on deck.
I'm very amused to hear that Caleb has had all of his hopes dashed. That's just like, Caleb, we've been telling you this, so the fact that this is coming is not a surprise to the rest of us.
Yeah, it's fine. I told you so. I'm okay. Bye.
I've actually got a question for you at this point. Do you still believe that CCP are bringing back tournaments?
Well, yes, I actually do. I just think that if the criteria of success with recent things might actually not be as good as I'd hope. But they will try because it's a great market to push on Korea and the whole Asian thing. So I'm really gonna. I will be surprised if they don't try to bring back the AT in some format because there's just too much marketing to actually be harvested from that.
All right, so.
McLeod, my man. By the way, McLeod, we have not seen you in Atlas, and you're snoozing up there on the second level of the fort, and it'd be nice if you just kill some shit.
Don't interfere with me. That's all I ask. Anyway, I wanted to explain something.
Go ahead.
I believe last weekend I got temporarily scam recruited into Test Alliance. And that is my explanation for randomly appearing on the Test Alliance group photo at EVE London, rather than my actual Alliance group.
I was looking for you in the initiative photo, and I'm like, where the fuck is he? I know he's there.
No, I didn't find that photo.
Oh, you're over on the other side of the floor with Test. Okay, that explains
for some
everything.
Reason I don't know why.
That explains why some people couldn't actually find you there.
Spy.
How drunk were you, Mac?
I mean, I had a few.
In fairness, I think I only saw you for about 5 minutes on the Saturday.
We had this weird thing where you kept on we only ever met when you were in the process of going somewhere and I was in the process of going somewhere else. So every single time it was like, Dirk, McLeod, and then it was just we would have a conversation in the middle of yeah, we'll catch up, yeah, all right, fair enough, fine. It's just like fucking weird.
Just out of curiosity, where did you wake up the following morning, Mac?
Oh no, I made it back to my my hotel, so it's all right.
Your room?
Well, I mean, you know.
In the general vicinity of.
Hey, Rathkatan, thank you for subscribing with Twitch Prime for 21 months. Look at that, I even have the little thing that comes up. I'm getting good at this streaming thing.
Ooh la la.
Alrighty. Last. Well, not really last, I'm last, but Soth, you're up, brother.
Here's a free idea for you, CCP. Expand
Don't give
on
them
that
free
whole...
ideas.
No, here's a free idea.
If you give them free ideas, then they won't feel a need to invest dev time in them.
Wow.
No. When Soth suggests them, they scratch them off the list on the whiteboard.
I need to. I need.
That's cold.
I need to link something that David Mitchell, a British comedian, said, and it'll explain a lot of things regarding player ideas and CCP's unwillingness to adopt them. But anyway, carry on.
Expand on the whole tier 3 stuff and maybe give us battleships with a bonus to medium guns.
Don't buff wormhole income anymore, Soth. Like, come on. Be reasonable for once.
No, not T3. Tier 3.
Oh, the battleships with medium guns thing. Yes, this is a good idea, actually.
Thanks, Soth. We actually needed that. Now it's off the list. Good job.
Maybe I'll just apply to CCP again. And myself.
I mean,
I'm not sure they could handle you, Soth.
In fairness, this idea is it's such a niche thing that CCP might do it just because it's so niche. Nobody will know why they did it. Much like the Rifter changes.
There you go.
Yeah, like what were those?
So for my one last thing, I will tell everybody that I did not see Mrs. Asmach all day yesterday, but as I understand it, she has all her Christmas shopping completed at this point in time, and I'm really just waiting for the charges in mail, and I'm not sure, and I might need to really engage in some RMT with this new gambling feature that CCP released, so it might actually help me in the long run gain some of this income back. So, at somebody else's credit card's expense, I'm sure. So, no, not really. I think the gambling thing's stupid, but I think it's going to be gamed by the big alliances, and they're going to make a fuck ton of money out of this. And CCP's going to be what?
And can we just say that I am looking forward to the meta show tonight because it's going to be two actual real lawyers that are going to be discussing this. It's going to be great because no one can call them armchair lawyers because they have actual fucking degrees.
They won't talk about it that much. Brisk, like...
damn it.
No.
Brisk yelled about this on Open Comms last night. Brisk
I got
was,
angry
like,
about it.
absolutely not happy with the number of armchair lawyers being like, oh yeah, this is not going to happen, and, blah, 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 blah. People are going to put restrictions on it, and...
You see, the thing is with Brisk, and the thing is with the way that he sees it is he's trained as a lawyer, right? And when you're trained as a lawyer, you're trained as to basically, to be able to, find, the loopholes, find the kind of like the edge fringes of the law where you can get things done, get things not, sort of stop things from happening, etc., 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 right? And he has freely admitted in a conversation with me, several PMs, that the law around this sort of stuff is very antiquated.
In most countries.
In most countries, including America. And when it comes to the thing that when it comes to fake currencies or fake money, which he tends to consider ISK and that kind of stuff, it's not technically it's not a fake money. It's technically a virtual currency, But that's the thing, if you today, right, went and created a casino in America where all you used was Bitcoin, right, in order to fund the slot machines or whatever, right? Technically, you're using a virtual currency. You won't have any age restrictions. A fucking 5-year-old can go in and play poker with it.
You already don't play with your actual money. You buy chips first and then you play with the chips. So that's already in place. You already have your fake currency right there.
Yeah, so there's no reason to put an age restriction. So but that's the thing. Like I got really angry about him. Like I completely understand where he comes from with regards to, people. What the fuck is it called? Like essentially just saying like the problem is addicts. It's not. The problem isn't addicts. The problem is minors. That's the issue.
You are
anyway, underage people doing this stuff.
You are correct.
Anyway, sorry, I went on that.
Yeah, like.
You got more, Dirk?
No, I was just gonna go back to like. Yeah, sure. The lawyers will probably comment on the thing, but I doubt they'll comment on it in the reference of the people who are space lawyering, Texas bird lawyering, whatever about like the legalities of this new system.
Well,
the fact of the matter, CCP can do whatever they want with their game, and that's for them to deal with any particular legal challenges down the road. We don't need to like go, oh yes, this is a felony here or there, because if we start doing that, then we're all going to have to acknowledge that actually we can't steal a flag at an event, and I refuse to take that step.
Well, anybody who deals with there's two different groups that I deal with, right? I deal with lawyers all the time, and I deal with regulators.
I want to just clarify that.
They're two different things.
Quote unquote, borrow a flag at an event.
We didn't even
borrow on a non-return basis.
We just took care of it while the owner went to the hospital.
There you go.
This is very true. That did happen.
So there's two groups of people that you work with: regulators and lawyers, right? It doesn't matter what. And by the way, there's lots of work going on in the U.S. related to this, and there's all kinds of stuff. And even with Summer Blink, CCP was very clearly at risk. I think they are clearly at risk again. Several states have rolled against MMOs and forced them to do things in the U.S. So there's lots of legal precedent in the U.S. over this. The second thing is, when you look at it from a lawyer's perspective, they say, we've done X, Y, and Z to separate us from that gambling thing, and we feel that we've adequately done that. And by the way, even if it is illegal, you can get away with it and make all kinds of money with it until you get caught or somebody files a legal lawsuit against you, right? And the likelihood of that happening is small in comparison to the upside advantage of CCP's income revenue stream for this change. So they've just made the calculated risk that we'll make more money on this than this is going to risk us losing, period. And that's what every company does, and they can do it until they get caught or proven wrong.
And if you're in America and you're rich and white and well connected, chances are you get away with it. So
aside from all that and all the lawyering, right? This is really about the ethics of this, and the whole thing that this feature does is exactly the opposite of what they said they were intending to do, right? Because this is going to make people that are already ISK rich a lot richer. Like
all they care about is making money for the company off of this. That's why it's tied to ISK. And the fact that you can tie everything's value in the game to ISK, because we have a million articles saying that hundreds of thousands of dollars were lost in this game because we can actually equate everything to a monetary value through Plex. Okay? You know that it has value. If you know that ISK has value, you satisfy one of the three tenets in the U.S. If it is a game that involves zero skill, you satisfy two of the tenets for gambling in the U.S. And if what you get has value, which it has an ISK value, then you get something of value. You satisfy all three aspects of gambling in the U.S., and it's not... ISK is money, because I can get ISK by spending money.
Yeah, but it's the other way out, right? It's the other side of it that makes it not really gambling in the traditional sense.
No, it's
in
gambling.
the traditional sense, yeah, but
wait
what
a
we're
second
saying
there.
is that
Wait a second there.
Yes, you can, Brisk, and get a service and look at this Washington State, Brisk, in the legal filing they had. It's something of value also equals a service.
This is exactly the rabbit hole I did not want to go down.
Yes, but
Brisk, you can hop in comms. You got free reign on this channel, man.
what you are all failing to see is that is exactly how EA was arguing in Belgium.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. They still got fucked over by the lawyers there.
Yeah, I will argue you satisfy all three tenets. It has value. It has money connection. It is a no-skill game. And but it doesn't really matter what I think. CCP will never get brought to court over it. And until they do, none of it matters whether it's legal. Doesn't matter whether it's ethical. None of that matters. So they're going to do it, and they're going to use it to make money. Now, if they spend that money in the game, I have no problem with CCP making money on it. I just don't.
My only issue is
Brisk. That's let me address Brisk here, right? No, you can't exchange it directly for money, but I can exchange it for game time, which has value. You don't need to be able to exchange it back for money. Something of value. The thing that you get from it has to have value.
It's like raffles with food items and similar cyclical things. There's still value, right?
Yeah, it has value. It is worth a monthly subscription.
The fact that you don't get a direct path to cash doesn't change the fact that it's still fundamentally gambling if you can get some goods or service from it, right? So it is kind of like a value.
No, it's not kind of like value. It is value. I mean, read that article I linked. I linked that article, Caleb, right?
But the legal stuff worldwide is not really up to date on virtual services, which is why this is still a contested area.
Caleb, can I jump in? Sorry, I'm going to jump in because I messaged the Gambling Commission about this. I got a reply. They believe that CCP allowing us over time to have commissioned artwork, 3D models and such in real life using ISK has given it value. If
the Plex gives it value.
Plex is an iffy one because it's not a tangible real world item, so it would be an iffy one in court. The fact that we can get a physical item in the real world though that has real world value is what does it.
I get it. I mean, it's gonna go all the way.
I'm just saying that. I'm just gonna say this, but like previous, there was a time previously where you could throw CCP a bunch of Plex, that you would have bought with in-game currency, and at one particular point they would give you a graphics card. I'm just saying that happened at one point.
Hey, we whiteboarded this with a couple partners in a law firm over before Thanksgiving dinner, between breakfast and dinner, right? And it came up unanimous. That's real world value. But it depends on the state laws, federal laws, everything. U.S. is very convoluted in a lot of that. And different states will look at it even differently. But it was no question. I mean, there was no question.
But the thing is, Eric, like if at any particular point CCP's kind of been able to allow players to essentially take their risk and sort of exchange it in some way, shape or form for a physical item outside of the game, like they've done previously, like Barda said, and like I've said, with the graphics cards kind of thing. Technically what that means is it's not outside of the scope of reality that CCP won't do it again, which means that technically, the in-game ISK, even though you can't, directly convert it straight out, does have value in some way, shape, or form in the future.
Yeah, and let me finish something, Bart, and for Brisk, right? Brisk, the law, and you should know this because we went over this, like I said, with a couple partners, not small firms. They've got global reach. It's not that you can cash out, okay? It's that it has actual value, right? And because I can convert Plex and ISK all for game time for services that I normally would have to pay money for, gives it the real world value. Ask 10 lawyers a question and 10 times you'll get 10 different answers too, Brisk. I mean, I work with lawyers all the time.
Oh, I was going to say, I just want to address what Brisk is saying. If he's saying you can't exchange the in-game items to real-life currency, that's the thing. I got a response from the Gambling Commission in the UK, which is the highest authority on it, and they said the fact you can convert ISK and use it to, say, commission artwork from Rix Javix, artwork that is tangible in real life, gives it value.
Yeah, I mean, you can...
Their opinion. Now, the key thing did come down to what you said earlier. If pushed in court.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's going to do it. I mean, you're going to have somebody's kid who takes their credit card and gambles a couple $1,000s away before, or $10,000 or $20,000 away before you see this ever be an issue. It's never going to make it.
Like it's happened. It's happened, you know, multiple times in like things like Fortnite already, like Fortnite Mobile and stuff like that.
Yeah, and by the way, just because a regulator in the commission has an opinion doesn't mean that their legal team would take it up either or anything like that. Or right? I mean, let's be fair. Right? I'm not disagreeing with you, Bart.
No, I fully agree with you. These guys would have the ability to enforce it, but they would have to really want to go after it, right?
Can we just point out that if anyone wanted to actually make an example and something that can lead into actual legal precedent, this is exactly the type of company that would get hit first, because it's easy, it's low-hanging fruit, and it's not going to be an extremely costly affair, right? Attacking someone like CCP is a fuck ton easier than EA or someone really, really big, right? So
yeah. And
so I think
they
they're
have
addressed.
the PA behind. They have the PA like departments behind them at that point, so it's not exactly as low hanging as it may once have been, but it's definitely easier. Yeah, especially since CCP is still technically an independent subsidiary based in the EU.
And especially because this feature kind of tries to loop around some of the holes, which means that if you actually succeed with the case against CCP, I know this is lawyering a bit, but if you do, you're going to plug a lot of the holes on the whole discussion in the same time.
Yeah, it ends up with the legal precedent.
Yep. So this is actually better, because otherwise you have to go through each of these cases independently. If you get CCP on this, you get a lot of the things covered in one go. There you go.
I mean, yes, to Gap, yes, there is the argument that, you know, FCs are sometimes, a lot of the time, especially in larger block, generally paid in ISK for the services that they provide. They also get things like, you know, free reimbursement on whatever the fuck they want to fly, because they are presumed to, you know what they need to be flying for that. And these are kind of kickback for time spent. However, the amount of ISK that is received in general is not enough for me to consider it of value. Like, I spend 3 hours FCing a fleet, I get like, what? 300 mil ISK or something in that region.
Well, the problem really is that CCP has brought in this token, right, which is also a currency. Plex is also a currency in and by itself, right? This is important when you're talking about this, because it's not like an EVE like a World of Warcraft token, where it can only give you service to access the game, right? This can give you all the other things too. All the other RMT vanity items can be purchased for ISK by using Plex.
Wait. There are always backroom deals for RL stuff provided for service in. Where can I get those backroom deals, please?
Can I do things for actual money? That sounds a hell of a lot more fun than my actual job.
I don't want to say that the bee that you see right there was paid for by ISK, but it was.
I mean, the other thing as well is like a transaction from one person to another person to perform a service is not the same as it going through the medium that the service is performed in.
Yeah. And by the way, Brisk, I'm gonna send you that link. I'll send it to you directly. I gotta look it up. I can't find it really easy right now. By the way, it's a white paper by 2 lawyers that actually specialize in MMO type gambling stuff. Yes, I will definitely get it for you before that. And it's their opinion. And let's be clear, about lawyers. And what Brisk said earlier is right. You ask 10 lawyers, you're gonna get 20, maybe 30 answers, right? Because they're going to give you both sides of everything and things like that. And by the way, there are millions of lawsuits, just so everybody's clear, right? Where somebody believes that they can prove something unequivocally and they're a lawyer and they're doing it pro bono and all this crazy stuff goes on. And by the way, the courts just don't interpret it the same way. Or 5 lower courts don't interpret it the same way, but the Supreme Court in the U.S. interprets it their way or not their way, right? So you even see disagreements at the court level in the interpretation of laws. So, just saying, this is a disclaimer. That is our disclaimer.
Entirely on who's paying them the larger check.
Not exactly. And I mean, when you look at legal things and the way things go,
really speaks volumes.
No, I mean when you look at the way certain things, I mean, there's all kinds of things come into play here. But when you look at legal and establishing legal precedent and things like that, the laws are absolutely antiquated. And you will see in the white paper that I'm going to send, the Washington State, I don't know if it was the Supreme Court, but they were actually overruled in their interpretation of the particular law by the federal court at a higher level. And they weren't overruled. It was just remanded back to them to reinterpret something before they, said that yes, indeed, it was gambling. So,
but Eric, can we just talk about just for short term, right? Just the fact that the industry of gaming is now bigger than most other industries in what would call immaterial wealth, right? So when you're talking about something like gambling that can be obfuscated and folded into games, right? This is competing with a lot of things, and it's bringing in all of this legal shadow-like stuff that I will bet that the actual courts will want to actually remove eventually, right? Because it's really complicated to do regulation or legal issues if you allow these companies to have access to anything that's even remotely like gambling. So they have to figure out a way to eventually remove it or make it very obvious that you need to be somehow showing that this game has gambling elements in it, right? Because you need to, as a consumer, you need to be able to tell the difference between a casino site and an online game, right? Because otherwise, you're basically doing this, what I call obfuscation. You are cheating your customers.
Well, I mean, that's the whole point of the microcurrencies, right? I mean, in this whole setup, right? Is to obfuscate that you are actually gambling and permitting gambling in violation of the law, right? So allowing somebody who is a minor to gamble, for instance, right?
Or even an adult.
You're never going to get rid of the thing, right? But understand, you're never going to get rid of the addicts in gambling. That's why all these gambling things have their disclaimers with them, right?
Yeah. The idea is just, for them to be at least slightly aware that, like, oh, it's kind of gambling. It's got gambling-like elements to it. So.
And if I'm an addict, right, I need to be able to know that, right? So it's just like labeling laws, right? If I'm lactose intolerant, I would like to know if there's dairy in something. And this is exactly the same discussion, really, when it comes down to it.
And I will tell you, in an effort to obfuscate that this is actually gambling, that's why they make the seller make the purchase of the nodes, right? Because they're betting that you can't link ISK, the imaginary currency, have real world value, right? My argument is that Plex gives it real world.
Can I just point out that this is exactly the same discussion with prostitution, right? Where are you putting the legal issue? Is it on the seller or the buyer? Doesn't matter. If you want to get to the bottom of it and stop it, you have to make it illegal on both sides. I don't understand this whole, then you can just obfuscate by flipping the tables and making it, it's not illegal to buy, it's illegal to sell. It's like, how does that change anything when it comes down to it?
Hey, it's not illegal to buy marijuana, it's just illegal to sell it in bulk, right?
Yeah, it's just so dumb.
The thing is, though, because gambling laws are so outdated in most countries, it is actually on the buyer to make sure that it's legal. At least that's the case in Germany right now, because we have a big problem with sports bets online, which is technically illegal, but no one's enforcing it.
But then countries might actually start enforcing IP blocking for things like games or
no, that's not what they'll do. Here's how they'll combat it, because here's where you get the legal function. They will say that you can't execute a credit transaction to purchase the game time.
No, I'm pointing out that if a country has laws against gambling, they might actually push the responsibility onto the ISPs, so the ISPs are not actually allowed to let you through to that site.
No, they'll just stop the financial transaction. That effectively kills it, right? They can say they can say Amazon, you can't process transactions for CCP games for Plex anymore or Game Time because it's convertible into gambling. And they just say, okay, in the US you can't buy the game anymore, and CCP goes, holy shit, that's our biggest population, we better stop.
I mean, look at what happened with loot boxes in Belgium. EA was fighting it as hard as they could, and Belgium still got them to change the way loot boxes work for players in Belgium.
And that's EA, for fuck's sake.
Hey.
Yeah, it doesn't get bigger than EA.
Caleb, didn't I link that article to you in the Imperium Writers thing? I'm looking for that. I could have sworn I did in our conversation this morning. Anyway, so we are half an hour over time.
So thanks for listening.
Only because you guys decided to go.
Yeah, I did. I extended it because I had to go down the rabbit hole, right? By the way, it's all opinion until somebody actually files a lawsuit and wins or loses. I mean, that's just the way it is. And they're betting on that.
He's going back to the rabbit hole here. No,
things will never be the same.
Somebody hit with a stick.
So, yeah. All right. So, that's it. Thank you, everybody, for watching the show and listening to us rant and go down rabbit holes.
There's going to be more on the Meta Show.
And for me to irritate Brisk, and who I love, by the way. He's a great guy. By the way, in the initiative photo, this is something I noticed, okay? Brisk, either initiative, it's just filled with freaking tall people, or, Brisk didn't stand up all the way. Okay?
Yeah,
I'm just saying, I'm just pointing that out. And McLeod was in the test picture. That's all you all need to know, okay? So, spy.
Meta Show in an hour and 25 minutes. Go ahead. It will be on this same channel. Go ahead and catch up with it.
All right. Later, folks.
Later.
Cheerio.
The permit. I don't care if you buy a permit. Do you know how little I actually care if you have a permit?
complaining about the fact that he received no support from that. I think Bode has some.
Yes, I
some
do.
leaks for us.
Oh, I got some leaks for you.
It's like simple shit like that. Simple shit like that. If he can't answer that publicly,
I need to break in because I need more original every week. That's a goal.
Do you really actually get paid for that? Because you deserve money for that last one. That was a fucking amazing setup.